UEFA, at least I think that's how people pronounce it, that's how we pronounce it in Slovakia, the Union of European Football Association, basically the sort of basically like football clubs in Europe, I assume. Not a big fan, as people might say, but we have Alejandro here today who will be able to get us through it. Specifically, what has happened is yesterday, I think it was before one of the matches, they brought up this banner, and there was a photo posted on X. With the caption from the UEFA Super Cup in Udine. The message is loud and clear, a banner, a call, and on the banner it said, "Stop killing children and stop killing civilians." Now, you might be wondering, well, what's wrong with that? I think we'll discuss why such what I would call almost truism is problematic, especially without any context, since the big part of any kind of knowledge, big part of any kind of opinion is, of course, the context around everything. So this is what we'll discuss today. Welcome to the Daily Objective. Joining me today is Alejandro. And Alejandro, let me just go to you for some of your first thoughts that jumped out when you saw this story, and then I'll go with a few more things.
Well, I think the first thought that I had was I shouldn't be thinking about them, and that's because UEFA has, which is essentially the European branch that organizes football tournaments in Europe, including the Europa League, the Super Cup final, which was an event that was happening yesterday, as well as the Euro Cup, and as well every single European league is associated to UEFA. But the association has been proven to be extremely corrupt and lacks any moral standing, considering their past history and their implications, the things that they have done in the past. Uh, However, I do think that there is something to be commented upon that. Um, Partially, it's even more personal to me to the extent that I have been boycotting football over the last almost decade because it has become extremely political, and always they have a very good way of targeting and always being in the wrong side of history whenever they place themselves in regards to politics. Um, UEFA is associated to FIFA, and let's remember that FIFA organized a World Cup in Russia in 2016, 2 years after the taking over of Crimea. Then it took another World Cup in 2 years, 3 years ago, almost in Qatar, um, where despite that there were claims about slave taking over, aside of the fact that Qatar is probably one of the worst countries in the Middle East, nobody cared about anything. Even FIFA didn't care about anything. UEFA as well didn't care about anything. But here you have uh, a normal self-righteous claim, which I mean, I said self-righteous in the sense that they claim it and they put it in large banners, but at the same time they played and say it in such an obfuscated way that you have no you have to add some context to see what they are talking about. It's very clear that they're targeting the Israel Gaza conflict because they also invited two Palestinian kids to the event. However, they are so cowardly stating this that you couldn't put words in their mouth for this. So on the one hand, they try to be moralistic, but on the other hand, they're so cowardly that even the people that are on the wrong side of history, like Amnesty International, they're calling for that.
Yeah, and when it comes to sort of this idea of politics in sport, which is on the news every now and then. I don't necessarily care that much for it, but I'm not somebody who watches sports that much, so I might have a different view on this. But what I have a problem is, again, this kind of one, like I said, being on the wrong side of history, actually advocating for something that isn't good, something that is bad. And yeah, too, as you said, this like so almost like cowardly way of even doing this. So, like you said, even people on their side are calling them out. Um, Now, when it comes to sort of the phrase itself, stop killing children, stop killing civilians, again, it's such a vague term. Like I said, it's a truism, right? Nobody is gonna stand up and say, no, 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 I am for killing children. I am for killing civilians. It's a ridiculous thing. So what this term is actually doing is, if you apply it in context, and let's assume this is in the context of Gaza, or I mean, technically, we could even bring in the context of, because I think they had a few more children. I think they had children from Ukraine and Afghanistan and a few more places. So even if you want to bring into those scenarios, even that is sort of without context, right? Because what does it mean? So let's say, okay, stop killing children in Ukraine. Well, should Russia go back or should Ukraine surrender so the killing stops? There is no solution they are offering. It's simply stop. It's simply well, if we are simply calling for a stop, that would mean that yeah, Russia gets to keep Crimea, the Donetsk, Luhansk republics, as well as I think Kherson and Zaporizhia, which they are currently holding. In the context of Israel, again, what does it mean to say calling for the stop? Which the fact that children or civilians are dying in a part during war is bad. It's not something that should be celebrated. But the fact is that it was one side that started it, and it's the one side that is perpetuating it. This moral clarity needs to happen. But when all you have is this kind of, there should be a world peace, or there should be peace, there should be a ceasefire, the killing should stop, then you are not really putting any solution. You're not being even any moral. You're simply you are not helping the situation at all, Alejandro.
Totally agree. And I think one of the worst parts of this is that, as you say, there is no recognition about who should be asked this. I agree with you. Killing children is something that it's certainly that I don't want to happen. But what is who has to be asked about that? Who, if I mean, this is something that has been said several times. If Israel stopped bombing out Gaza, yes, there will be less Gazan children being killed. But how many Israeli children would be killed instead? How many Israeli civilians would be killed because of that? If, as you say, if Ukraine surrendered today, how many children's lives would be spoiled or broken just because of the sheer subjugation that they would experience from that? But this is such a empty claim towards nobody, uh, and written in such a way that anyone could interpret anything that they wanted, is just a sign of deep cowardice. And I think one should ask them, why on earth were they trying to do this? There is a precedent, and maybe we can talk about that, but I think it's really silly.
We have a super chat from Bonnie. Thank you so much. And a super chat from Jonathan. Thank you so much. I think I wanted to, yeah, I should bring up also that on Tuesday, the UEFA Foundation for Children announced it had expanded its humanitarian efforts to help children in Gaza, partnering with three charities providing humanitarian aid. Now, maybe you want to talk more about organization. trying to even wrap my head around why do these organizations necessarily need like their sort of they need their charity parts. You know, if you're making like football, then do that, set up different organizations or set up different funds. The fact that this happens at the same time it always bugs me a little bit. But yeah, you also wanted to bring up some precedents. So yeah, do you want to comment on both the charity part and what you wanted to mention?
I mean, I cannot claim on knowing what the charity part is. So I'm very skeptical of any kind of these institutions having a charity foundation. Um, and at the same time, they are typically very opaque. Sometimes you don't even know who the real owners or shareholders of these institutions are. And in general, they're very difficult to follow. That's not ascribing any um, wrongdoing or saying that they have done something wrong. I'm just saying that I think it's very um, uh, I'm not sure about why they institute one charity on their own, just to not contribute to an existing one if as if there weren't any charities already. Now, the precedent is that uh, about a week ago, a player of Liverpool, Mohamed Salah, complained that UEFA had lamented the death of a Palestinian footballer who had been called the Palestinian Pelé. And he said, "Oh yes, you lamented this UEFA, but you didn't say who killed him and why." And you know, one of the there are many paths that I could take from now, but I think one of the most disgusting things that I've seen in recent years is this figure of the political footballer, where where you see this guy taking over the reins of a political standing or a political issue and trying to make the most of it. And usually you realize that they're usually good players, but very sloppy thinkers. And in the case of Salah, who is a player of Egypt, I think he is, or he at least was a good player. He's the exact example of this because certainly what you have is another person that is being killed as part of a war that uh, was started on his name. So I think he should be a bit more thorough in his questioning of the causes and the things that he's espousing.
Yeah, I mean, there is this definitely I don't know what to even call it. I like to call it like Elon Musk type of thing, where you know you're good in one area and you automatically assume you are sort of like you can be as good in every other thing without realizing that you know the amount of effort it took to be the best in your area. So it's always weird to me that those same people think that basically to be an expert in another area can happen just like that. Like they understand their own thing, but when it comes to something else, it washes away. And politics is exactly that. It's a complicated thing, especially like you need a whole you or you should have a framework of philosophy. You should have some understanding of sort of basic ideas of what the government should be, and by that, try to sort of talk about geopolitics broadly. But yeah, this idea of and yeah, you brought up this person who I think is at least I've seen in the article let's see, he plays forward for both Egypt and Liverpool. And yeah, he commented on UEFA saying, "Can you tell us how he died, where, and why?" And again, this is, kind of rightfully pointing out that UEFA is being a cowardly, not even, if you stand by something, at least like go and say it. But the fact is that it is done in such a way, and he calls it out. And but yeah, the fact is that he again is dropping all the context. Now I don't know specifically. I think I might have seen this when this happened. I think I might have seen the story when it did happen. But again, this is war. This is what happens during war, and trying to act as trying to blame Israel for it, trying to put this in a framework of this is the fault of Israel is again wrong. This is the fault not only of Hamas but of Palestinians who are still continuing to support this war, who are not standing up, who are not trying to do anything about this. Um, I think somebody in the chat asked if UEFA said anything about the Hamas October 2023 massacre. Did Israeli children or civilians are less important? So I tried to just quickly ask ChatGPT because I don't remember. So at least ChatGPT says they postponed all matches scheduled in Israel for the following weeks. And then there was a minute of silence 10 days later. Uh, in memory of all the members of European football family killed in recent days in Europe and Israel. So even that seems like very sort of appeasing, very sort of we do not want to rock the boat too much. Any thoughts, Alejandro?
Yeah, I mean, it's usual that they cancel the games in areas of conflict. It happened the same, if I remember correctly, Ukraine. I think Ukraine started, Ukrainian team started playing, I think, in Hungary. Uh, but in essence, I think, I mean, a minute of silence, they do a minute of silence, I think, even if Ozzy Osbourne dies. I think it's probably a really mediocre
Oh, let me
reaction.
correct myself. They didn't authorize it. The minute of silence. Players did it in spite.
Yeah. I mean, that's classic UEFA. Very hedging, and then when you get pressured by really disgusting groups, they give up on them. And um, yeah, I think uh, I don't know if you have anything else to say, Daniel, but I mean, or let's remember that moment about a year ago where Hezbollah rocketed a couple of rockets and killed several children which were playing football. What was the response of UEFA? What was the response of FIFA? Nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody in the chat says Israel should be banned from the FIFA. Israel killed more children than Russia. And again, this is the kind of like context dropping and non-conceptual thinking, right? You only, well, one, we have to believe the Hamas numbers for that to even sort of take. But even if you take it again, like trying to drop all context, somebody started this war and somebody is engaging in this war. The fact that the blame is not on Palestinians, the fact that blame is not on Hamas for starting the war, but somehow the blame is on Israel for trying to wage this. I mean, I am critical of Israel because it's actually not engaging in a war. The way Israel is engaging is to a large extent like it's some kind of policing event, like it's some kind of we need to get rid of Hamas to protect Palestinians. I mean, even if you go to recent comments from Netanyahu, right, we have to free Gaza from Hamas. So, yeah, to that extent, if you take Netanyahu's rhetoric, what Israel is doing is wrong. Because if you do truly consider Palestinians as innocent, then fighting a war in any regard is going to be bad. Because again, you can only fight the war if you are fighting against the population. I don't think you can sort of act as if sort of uh, yeah, as if the government that is representing the people is somehow separate from those people that support it.
And I mean, okay, we are the Ayn Rand Center UK. And one of the things that I love about Ayn Rand, it's her passion for philosophy. and of deep thinking. And one of the things that has been very disappointing for me is how in this the discussion of this conflict has been how wishy-washy, silly, unthoughtful people have been in regards to thinking about the principles and causes of this. And here there's we have a conflict where the concept of causality has to be taken really seriously. Like, who must have the moral blame of children dying in a war? Is it the person who defends himself, or is it the person who starts the war and then continues to wage the war and doesn't surrender? The parents of these children don't surrender, despite that they could be surrendering and saving the lives of their children. Who is it to blame? And here, I think the case is very clear because if Palestinians surrendered, I think there would be peace immediately, and their children's lives would be saved. So I think if anyone has to be blamed, is on the party that doesn't surrender, because and play it on the other side. If Israel didn't defend itself, then the losses and causalities and the children's lost would be on their side, because Hamas has proven to be exactly that, a murderous party that is willing to do the most horrific things just because of its hatred of Israel.
Yeah, and just to bring up one more thing, one thing I like about Ayn Rand is again the passion, right? Something that is in a roundabout way she's often criticized for, right? Like she's too condemnatory or she is too harsh. But the fact is that philosophy is like a big deal. It's an important thing. Values matter. Life like matters. It's not just something you just go out and do. And this applies everywhere, right? When you fight a war, you fight a war. You don't act like this is some kind of a picnic event, right? I read a really good book, the sort of I think it's called March to the Sherman's March to the Sea, which is about sort of how Sherman fought a civil war inside of the South, and the way he talked about it, like he understood, like he mourned the children and the people that had to die during the war, even by his hand. But he understood that this is what war is. This is how war is fought. It's not as it was with some battles during Civil War that you just have these soldiers like fighting on a field and the people are playing picnic or like are actually like having picnic and watching them fight over there. That's not how it is, and this applies everywhere. So yeah, when you have a war, you fight the war. You do it as quickly and as decisively and as strong as possible so you can end it as soon as possible. But people are trying to act as this is some kind of civilized event, as if one man killing another man is a way of life. It's just a different scenario. Like, you can go to a bakery and either buy a bread or you can steal it from it. And those are sort of like equal choices. No, one is a kind of relationship that is giving the modern society, that is giving the civilization that we have, and the other one is what destroys civilization, what makes it impossible to have unless it's a small amount that we can lock those people away. But if a society itself is decided that it would rather murder people than deal with them by reason, that's you have to end it as soon as possible.
Yeah, and and let's remember something that the UEFA completely evades in their quasi statement that they do this. This war was started by a horrific act after several ceasefires between Hamas and Israel. There was a relative peace for a couple of months, if not a couple of years. And then they decided to uh, break that period of peace by doing one of the most horrific acts that has been recorded in modern history. And the reaction from the public has been very timid, despite that there was an initial reaction. Take a look at UEFA. Take a look at how uh, silly the reaction was against these acts. But then when people start to scream and start to put the blame on the people on the party who is defending itself, that's when they act and that's when they react. And that's really shameful. And another and I mean I've been boycotting football for a while, but if it was just for this, I would be boycotting them now. And I urge you to do that as well.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to boycotting, I always say it's a very personal thing that it's hard to tell someone to do. But if your values matter to you, and if, for example, the existence of Israel or even the sort of principles of justice matter to you, then I think the sort of the action to do should be pretty clear. With that, Alejandro, any last thoughts and where can people find you?
I think people should be very thoughtful about the things that they consume. You shouldn't consume anything that they ask you to, despite that, even if you like football, even if you like the Champions League, the Super League, the Euro Cup, you shouldn't be that you shouldn't be swallowing anything that they give you. And even if you continue to watch it, at least ask the UEFA, write them a letter, tell them that you do not support this if you want to be on the right side of history. Or you can do like myself and just stop watching all the games that FIFA and UEFA espouse. Um, where can people watch me? I think we have a playlist of Ayn Rand's essays here in this YouTube channel. If you want to chew them, if you're interested into philosophy, um, there's a very long series over there with James Valiant and I discussing them.
With that, thank you, Alejandro, for joining me today. We will continue on the reality show where we'll talk about, quotes, the rights of Hamas. October 7 documentary canceled. Basically, a showing of a October 7 documentary was canceled over the fear of the copyright rights of the footage that was recorded by Hamas on October 7. So we'll discuss a few more things there, but a link to that is in the chat, so make sure to join us. We'll see you in just a few minutes. Thank you, Alejandro, again. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and bye-bye.